Times Square, the most photographed intersection on the planet. The center of New York City, surrounded by screens the size of buildings, visited by hundreds of thousands of people on any given day. The symbolic heart of the city that has always described itself as the place where everything is possible. During Ramadan, a large group gathered there to perform Taraweeh prayers, and while they prayed, one of them took the microphone and said something that the other people at the same event spent the rest of the evening trying to explain away. "We are taking over New York City." He did not whisper it. He did not say it in a private conversation that was later recorded without his knowledge. He said it into a microphone in front of a crowd at a public event in Times Square while people recorded it on their phones. He mocked the people who had been saying exactly this, that there was an organized effort to claim public space in American cities. He asked the crowd if they had seen those videos, the ones where people say Muslims are taking over New York City. And then he answered the question himself. "Let them know. We are taking over New York City. Stay with me." Because the most interesting part of this story is not what he said. It is what happened in the 30 seconds before and after he said it. Permits do not lie. The Times Square Taraweeh gathering was not a flash mob, not a spontaneous eruption, not an act of civil disobedience. It was a scheduled, city-sanctioned event. Permit number 2026 TS013, approved by the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, authorized Way of Life SQ and Droplets of Mercy to occupy the plaza from 6 p.m. to 8:45 p.m., with NYPD listed as the coordinating agency. The paperwork spells out the numbers. It lists up to 2,500 people, sound amplification capped at 95 decibels, and crowd control barriers as required. The organizers followed the rules. They filed the forms. They got the green light from City Hall. Out front, the message was clear. This is about faith, not force. The spokesperson, introduced on the live stream as a brother of the main speaker, faced the camera and delivered the official line. "Our purpose here is to show what Islam really is: clarity, community, and peace." That phrase, clarity, community, peace, became the event's refrain. It was repeated in the press release, echoed by volunteers in branded vests, and splashed across the event's TikTok promo. The brother's voice was measured, almost rehearsed. He said, "We are here to demonstrate the true spirit of Islam: clarity, community, and peace for all New Yorkers. No ambiguity, no aggression, just the calm assurance of a group determined to project an image of harmony in the most public square in America." This was the stated purpose, the official statement, the story for the cameras and the city records. The paperwork, the live stream, the spokesperson's words, all aligned to present a peaceful, legitimate, and thoroughly American exercise of religious freedom. But the gap between the official statement and the actual one was about to become impossible to ignore. Subscribe for more investigations that cut through the noise. At exactly 12 minutes and 34 seconds into the official Times Square Taraweeh live stream, the mask slipped. The microphone was live, the crowd was listening, and the city's neon heart was wide open. A voice cut through the amplified hum. "Let them know, we are taking over New York City." Not whispered, not muttered, not lost in the crowd. The quiet part was said out loud. The declaration echoed over the plaza, caught on every phone in the first 3 rows. The crowd didn't flinch. They cheered. Some repeated the line, others raised their hands, and a call to prayer followed seconds later. The internet did the rest. Within hours, the 12-second clip, hash verified, time-stamped at 001234, was everywhere. TikTok, X, Instagram, even Telegram channels that thrive on outrage. The phrase became a hashtag, a meme, a rallying cry. By dawn, the clip's repost count had crossed 10,000, with reaction videos dissecting every syllable. AFP's fact-checkers scrambled to trace the original upload, publishing their correction on March 3rd. But the narrative was already viral. The footage was too clear, too raw, too impossible to spin away. The public heard the official statement: peace, clarity, community. But what they saw, and what they shared, was the actual one. A public claim of takeover, broadcast from a city-sanctioned stage. Metadata analysis points to Imran Khan, the event's audio coordinator, as the likely speaker. His face matches the live stream at the exact frame. His name sits on the permit's contact list, but the organizers refuse to confirm or deny. No press release, no apology, just silence. The contradiction is now public record. The good cop, bad cop routine, played in America's most visible square. The quiet part wasn't just said. It was amplified, recorded, and repeated until nobody could ignore it. Subscribe for more investigations that cut through the noise. 2 tracks, 1 stage. The official statement: clarity, community, peace. The actual one: we are taking over New York City. These lines were not the product of chaos or accident. They were delivered, captured, and then stitched together by a deliberate production process. Communications scholars call this dual-channel messaging. One message for the public, another for the in-group. Dr. Maya Patel, author of Two-Channel Messaging in Public Spaces, defines it as the simultaneous projection of harmony and assertion, toggling between reassurance and provocation. The theory is not abstract here. It is written into the footage, the editing, the credits. At the bottom of the official live stream, a single frame appears. Producer, Zara Khan, Way of Life SQ Media. Zara Khan, the architect behind the event's media rollout, made the editorial choices that brought both messages to the surface. The peace slogan was not an accident. Neither was the takeover chant. The sequence, first the brothers' calm, then the microphone's challenge, was no technical glitch. It was a textbook example of the good cop, bad cop routine, right in the heart of Times Square. The official statement and the actual one, playing side by side, each amplifying the other. This is not just a question of who said what. It is a case study in how message control operates in plain sight. The crowd heard both claims. The cameras rolled on both. The edit preserved both. The contradiction was not buried. It was broadcast. And the person who said the quiet part out loud was not a lone actor. The producer, the organizers, the crowd, they all played their roles. The dual audience tactic was not hidden. It was the show. Subscribe for more investigations that cut through the noise. Surah 4, verse 34, sits at the heart of the dispute. A single verb, idribuhunna, rendered as strike them, beat them, tap them, or even separate from them, depending on the translator. The difference is not minor. Sahih International and Yusuf Ali say strike them. Pickthall adds lightly. Muhammad Asad, searching for a limit, writes hit them lightly. Laleh Bakhtiar, a reformist, chooses separate from them. Yet the classical jurists, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Hanbali, Maliki, agree on a physical act, though strictly bounded, no face, no injury, a symbolic gesture, a tap with a miswak or scarf. Ibn Kathir, Al-Tabari, Al-Qurtubi, names cited for centuries, concur, the act is permitted but must not leave a mark. Hadiths reinforce the boundary. Do not strike the face. The best of you do not strike their wives. Still, the permission persists, repeated in tafsir, recited in public squares. New York law draws a hard line. Penal law 120.00 defines assault as intentionally causing physical injury or offensive contact. There is no religious context, no marital exception. Even a symbolic tap, if unwanted, is a misdemeanor. Domestic violence statutes reach further. The law does not distinguish between symbolic and real when it comes to bodily autonomy. The gulf between classical doctrine and civic code is absolute. In Times Square, under neon lights and the scrutiny of a live stream, the presenter faced the question head-on. Her answer was clear. I am not a feminist, but I reject the idea that a wife's failure to obey justifies even the gentlest tap. Not here. Not anywhere. Her words broke through centuries of commentary, leaving no room for ambiguity or retreat into translation. This wasn't a slip behind closed doors. It was the line we are taking over New York City, broadcast on a public mic in Times Square, with every camera rolling. The good cop, bad cop routine between the official statement and the actual one cannot be ignored. The quiet part was said out loud. Subscribe for more.